Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. In today's brief video, we're going to be taking a look at Harry Potter's first encounter with the afterlife. More specifically, we're going to be discussing Harry's experience with, death, and explaining what he saw and took in during the brief period that he spent in limbo. In case you had forgotten, Harry of course dies after traveling to the Forbidden Forest to meet Voldemort. Harry looked back into the red eyes and wanted it to happen now, quickly, while he could still stand. Before he lost control, before he betrayed fear, he saw the mouth move and a flash of green light, and everything was gone. The next thing we know, Harry is beginning to regain consciousness. From here, he quickly realizes that he's no longer in the Forbidden Forest. In fact, entirely disoriented, he didn't know where he was. All he knew was that it was unlike any other place that he had been before. He lay in a bright mist, though it was not like mist he had ever experienced before. His surroundings were not hidden by cloudy vapor. Rather, the cloudy vapor had not yet formed into surroundings. The floor on which he lay seemed to be white, neither warm nor cold, but simply there, a flat, blank something on which to be. His environment was completely surreal, and Harry had lost all of his bearings. In fact, he had no idea if what he was experiencing was real or just a figment of his imagination. This is reflected in his exchange with Dumbledore before returning to life. Tell me one last thing. Is this real, or has this been happening inside my head? To which Dumbledore replies, "Of course it is happening inside your head, Harry. But why on earth should that mean that it is not real?" However, before leaving the afterlife and sharing a lengthy, enlightening discussion with Dumbledore, Harry notices something. Then a noise reached him through the unformed nothingness that surrounded him. The small, soft thumpings of something that flapped, flailed, and struggled. It was a pitiful noise, yet also slightly indecent. He had the uncomfortable feeling that he was eavesdropping on something furtive, shameful. Harry turned slowly on the spot, and his surroundings seemed to invent themselves before his eyes. He had spotted the thing that was making the noises. It had the form of a small, naked child, curled on the ground, its skin raw and rough, flayed-looking, and it lay, shuddering, under a seat where it had been left, unwanted, stuffed out of sight, struggling for breath. He was afraid of it. Small and fragile and wounded though it was, he did not want to approach it. Nevertheless, he drew slowly nearer, ready to jump back at any moment. Soon he stood near enough to touch it, yet he could not bring himself to do it. He felt like a coward. He ought to comfort it, but it repulsed him. "You cannot help." He spun around. Albus Dumbledore was walking toward him, sprightly and upright, wearing sweeping robes of midnight blue. And the thing that Harry had witnessed on the floor whimpered throughout his conversation with Dumbledore, wriggling around pathetically. So what, you may ask, was the small, naked child on the floor of Harry's own ethereal version of King's Cross? Many fans believe that the child on the floor of King's Cross was in fact the part of Voldemort's soul that previously resided within Harry. We know that Harry carried a piece of Voldemort with him for his entire life, and so it seems to make sense that, with Harry dying and this soul shard now destroyed, it would follow him to the afterlife. However, though this is close to the answer, it's actually wrong. According to J.K. Rowling, the being stuck in limbo with Harry wasn't the Horcrux within himself, but rather the current state of Voldemort's soul. What exactly was the mutilated baby-like creature Harry saw at King's Cross in Chapter 35 of Hallows? I've been asked this a lot. It is the last piece of soul Voldemort possesses. When Voldemort attacks Harry, they both fall temporarily unconscious, and both their souls, Harry's undamaged and healthy, Voldemort stunted and maimed, appear in the limbo where Harry meets Dumbledore. In essence, it's a representation of Voldemort's maimed soul, rather than the piece of destroyed soul that resided within Harry, the most common interpretation of Harry's run-in with this odd creature. Voldemort lived a cursed life where he would routinely rip his own soul apart in pursuit of immortality, and such acts come at a great cost. The pathetic, wriggling child squirming along the floor was all that was left of Voldemort's soul. And that's it for this video. Did you know the answer to this already? Did you know the most commonly thought answer or the actual answer? Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, of course it is happening inside your head, Harry. But why on earth should that mean that it is not real?